Hey guys, Carl from Purple Misplays. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Making Manhattan, an 18-card wallet game from Button Shy Games and designer John David Wood, in which players are drafting cards, building their own version of Manhattan, slotting in the different buildings in different areas of the city, and scoring points based on location and the relative positioning within the city. This is a game that I initially sort of looked past because it was a two-player only game, but then Mike Mullins came out with a solo version for this game, and I'm a big fan of Mike Mullins' solo versions. I'm a big fan of sort of spatial positioning kind of games, so I decided I had to check this one out. I printed out a PMP copy of this game, and here I am to show you what I think. Let's head down to the table to see how it plays, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. To set up a solo game of Making Manhattan, begin by separating the cards into Upper West Side and Upper East Side piles, and then assigning at random one of each to you and one of each to the AI. When assigning to yourself, the only thing you need to do is make sure that this symbol here does not match on the two cards, and also that this symbol down here does not match on the two cards. And in this case, this doesn't, so I will use these as my starting. This Upper West Side card says that if at the end of the game I have the most of these green or arts center locations in my city, I will score 4 points. And this one says if I have the fewest of the orange or shops in my city, I will also score 4 points. So those are the main sort of big goals that I'm looking for as I play through. Slide that up a little bit. And then we'll do the same thing for the AI, making sure that those symbols don't match, but also for the AI, making sure that the AI has one that says most and one that says fewest. So for the AI this time, we're going to do this one that says they are looking for the most of the iconic buildings, and this one that's also looking for the fewest shops. So we're actually going to be competing directly for that one in this play. So we go ahead and set that up like that, and after we've done that, set up all of the cards, both east and west, get mixed together, and the whole deck gets shuffled. And then that deck will get set off up here with the park side face up, and 3 of those will get turned over, and these are going to be the cards that we draft from in the game. Now it is worth mentioning that I did talk about these symbols down here at the bottom of the park side of the card. Those don't mean anything, those just mean that's the type of card that's on the other side of that card. And it's worth noting that there are only 3 of each type in the game. So I can see here that there are 2 purple or fashion districts there, which means this purple one right here is the only other purple one in the game. So if I've got something that's scoring for purple, there's nothing else that's going to come out because those are both there. Making Manhattan is going to play out over a series of 6 rounds. And the way it's going to work is I'm going to take the first turn of every round and I will draft one of these 3 cards, placing it into my city. And my city is made up of 3 different zones, basically. Uptown, Midtown, and Downtown. Same thing for the AI, Uptown, Midtown, and Downtown. So we can put 2 cards, East and West, up top, 2 cards here, East and West, and 2 cards down here at the bottom, East and West. And the way that the cards are going to score is at the end of the game, the cards are going to score based on these scoring conditions. And which scoring condition is triggered is going to depend on where this card is located in your city. So in this case, if I build this card Uptown, right above Central Park, which is what this green line is here, it will simply score me 3 points. If I build this in Midtown, I'm going to be scoring 3 points for every blue or every business that's adjacent to Central Park. And if I build this down here at the bottom, this is a special scoring. Taxis are going to score me 7 points minus 1 point for every taxi that's in my city, all totaled up together. So I'm going to take a card drafted into my city, and then the AI is going to select from the remaining 2 cards to draft into their city. Now, what they're going to do is they're going to prioritize cards that have the card they want the most of, and that does not have the thing that they want the fewest of. So first they're going to look for something that has purple but no orange. Then they'd choose something that has purple and orange. Then they would choose something that doesn't have orange at all. And then unfortunately, if there's only orange left, they'll choose the one with the higher star value or point value. Now, the AI is actually going to play out in a series of different levels you can play. You can play the tourist, which is easy. local, which is medium, the city planner, which is hard, and then the mayor, which is incredibly hard. The tourist would score following the rules that I just explained to you. But because the AI is not going to be very smart about where it places, because as it drafts, it will be placing here, 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 here in that order, working left to right, top to bottom. So it's not going to be very smart. So scoring directly what shows on the card, if I'm playing smart, will not do great for the AI. So in the second level or medium difficulty, any scoring that is an if score, so a number of points if something happens, it will score once. Anything that's a number of things per something happening will score once. And the taxis will score normally. In the difficult level or city planner level, all of the if cards will still score once, but all of the per cards would score twice. And the taxi score cards will always score 6 points. And then finally, the mayor is going to score the maximum number of points for everything that scores for the AI. So I'm not going to set out to hit a certain difficulty. I tend to play on local and push for city planner, but what I'm going to do this time is I'm just going to play to maximize my points, and then I'll show you the 4 different scores that the AI would have gotten, and then I'll compare it and show you or explain, talk about how I did at the end of the game. So I showed you that Garment District card. Let's take a look at the Theater District. This one's going to score me 2 points for any one type of card except for the red card. So it's not going to score off its own card. It's going to have to be something else. In Midtown, just 3 points. And downtown is 3 for brown or historic places that are next to Central Park. Morningside Heights is going to score me 4 for any red or arts areas that I have at the bottom 2 or downtown 2 spaces on my map. Taxis or 3 points. And again, he wants to have the most purple, which is here, the most iconic buildings, and the fewest of these shops. And I want to have the most entertainment and the fewest shops. And I can see right away that I'm going to take this card because it keeps him from getting the most of the iconic buildings, but also it helps me get the most of the arts center, entertainment kind of buildings. So I'm going to take that. The 3-star points are generally not worth that much because 3 points is not going to be great. Now, 2 points for anything that I have means I want to work towards something, which might be helpful, but right now I don't know what that's going to be, and it's kind of early, and I don't know if there's going to be a lot of single color that I'm going to score on. So I'm going to look at this down here, 3 stars for every historic next to Central Park, because I don't see any historic buildings in the 4 starting cards. So I know that there's 3 of them in there. One of them's here, and he's going to take it. But there's only 4 spots. Oh, well, anyway, there's lots of spots. But he's going to take that one. I can still score twice on that for 6 points, which is a good score. I would need 3 of something the same color to get 6 points off of that. So I don't like that. So I'm going to score that or put that there downtown. West and east right now doesn't matter. That works for me. Now, they're avoiding the shops, so they're going to take this and simply it just goes there. So if I was playing on the easiest mode, 4 points per red or arts in the bottom 2 areas, I would do my best not to put red down there. Now, that is going to be an 8-point card in the higher level things, and I'm only scoring 6 for that. So that's not great to let them get that card, but remember, this is also helping me lose those 4 points and helping me get those 4 points. So I'm okay with that for now. And this is going to be a fun opportunity because this purple is going to let me prevent him from getting the most purple, or at least work towards preventing him from getting the most purple. And it's going to be helping me push him to take an orange shop, which they don't want to take. Plus, it's brown, which I'm going to be scoring if it's next to Central Park. So that's a great card for me. Problem is, it can either score a flat 3 points or 3 points for every gray or international building in the west side of the city. But I've already got 1 slot that's filled in with that, and I don't see any grays coming out yet. And I want to put more brown near the park, but I could potentially get 6 out of that and definitely only get 3 out of that. So I'm going to put that right there. Now, he's going to look at these 2. He's placing in this corner, which means 3 and 3. So they're simply going to take the one that's closest to the deck. That gets placed right there. And we take out 2 new cards. Ooh, another shop. It's also worth mentioning at the most difficult level, the AI will win these on ties as well, but not in the lower 3 difficulties. In the normal game, fewest and most does not work if you have a tie. All right, so I'm happy because I can take this green, which will really push to make sure I have the most of those arts and entertainment areas. And that also forces him to take another shop again. And we will see what that does. That'll give him 3 points or 4 points. Yeah, that's good with me. Problem is, this does not help me much. It's not gray. It means it's not international, so I don't score there from this brown one. If I put this down here, it's scoring 4 points for every tech neighborhood that I have in these 2 spots. And this is brown, and this is probably going to be international. So that doesn't help me there either. But I can put it there, and it's my only taxi, which scores me 7 minus 1 for a single taxi. So that's a 6-point taxi. I just need to avoid other taxis, and that's not bad for me. Now, the AI is looking, they both have shops, and neither one of them has the iconic building mark. So they're going to go the one that has the highest printed star value, which is not a 2, but instead a 3. This would be worth more potentially, but they're looking at the printed value, so that's going to get placed there. And they'll turn over 2 more cards. All right, so I already have 2 of these entertainment buildings, so if they only get 1 of them, it's not going to crush me. But let's see what happens. I get 3 points for international here or here, but I also get 3 points for historical here and here. So actually, those are both good for me right now. And whichever one I don't take is going to be their card in this position. So this one will give them 3 points. This one was going to give them 2 for every pair, horizontal pair that's of a different set in the basic scoring, or 2 points, or 4 points, or 6 points at the highest scoring. So I'd actually rather them have that 3 points. If I take that and put it there, I'm scoring 3 points from that condition. And now I want to make sure that all of my pairs of cards are different. Right now this one is, and it could easily be that those 2 are as well. And they're going to take this one, which means I need to be careful now because they've got 1 green and I've got 2. But that's not a big deal, because there are only 3 of them. It means there's only 1 more. Oh no, that's all of them. Oh no, sorry, that's not those greens. That's the symbols down in the bottom corner. So I need to be careful. All right, so they want lots of purple. I already have 2, so if I let them take 1, it's not an issue. There's no way I pushed them to take this shop right now, but I don't care because I don't have any orange anyway. So I want to look at maximizing scoring. The problem is I don't see any gray and I don't see any brown. So we're looking at blue, red, and tech, black. So I'd rather stay away from this hole because this hole would be scored best by gray or brown. But all 3 brown are out. There's actually only one more gray in there, which may or may not come out because there are 3 cards left and only 2 will come out. And I can see that the top one is a red. So let's take a look at the scoring. This is 2 for difference, this is 2 for difference, and this one says 4 points for every purple or fashion at the top. Well, that's going to help them in all kinds of ways, but really doesn't do anything for me. I want them to be different. So I'm actually going to take this one, which is a little bit scary because they've got 2 and I've got 1 and we both want fewest. But that scores me an additional 2 points for every different set, and I already have 2, so that'll be 4 points for hopefully all 3 of them. Which means they will take this one and they will place that down here, and that's going to score a lot of points for them. So that may have been a mistake, but we'll see what happens. We turn over the next 2. I do get lucky with that, but we have a problem because that's only going to score me 3 points. This one's going to score me, well, 6, but also minus this one, so 5, but those are both 5 points. The problem here is that green would put me at 3, but would put them at 2. And if they have 2 and I have 2, I lose that 4 points. So I have to take that. I'm going to put that there. Hope that that's enough scoring for me. None of them have purple. None of them have orange. So they're going to look at the priority of closest to the deck, which means they take that one. Put that down there. Oh, wait a minute. None of them have purple anyway. Yeah, but that still scores 5, 4 because that's losing 1 point. That's still better than a 3. Ah, but hold on. 6 becomes 5. 5 and 5 is 10 points. Or 3 plus 2 is 5 points. Yeah, that's not going to... hold on. 3 plus 3 is 6, and 6 is 12 points. That's actually going to do better for me. I didn't think about it because this is closer to the deck. That's not purple-orange. They're not going to take that one. They're just going to take this one, and that's fine for me. And that's the end of the game. So we go ahead and get into scoring. We'll start scoring my cards. Start here in the top left corner is 3 points. Then this is the only taxi. 7 minus 1 for taxis is 6 points. 4 if I have the most green. I do. I have 2 of them. He has 1. So that's 4 points. 4 if I have the least orange. I've got 1. He's got 2. So I do. That's another 4 points. Then we've got here 2 for differences. Gray-blue is different. Gray-brown is different. Red-blue is different. So that's 6 points for that one. Here I've got 3 for all grays in West Manhattan, which are 2 of them. So that's another 6. Down here, 3 for any brown next to the park. Here's 1 of them only. So that's 3 points. And then finally 2 for all different. Again, all 3 are different. That's another 6 points. So I finished with a score of 38 points. So now we'll take a look at the 4 different scoring sets for them. Following the normal scoring rules, which is what we do for the basic, this one scores 4 for every red. At the bottom, that's 4. This scores 3. Most purple, they have 1. I have 2. They don't get that. Least shops, they have 2. I have 1. They don't get that. Here is 3 points. Here is 3 points. Here is 3 points. And here is 4 for every gray in Uptown Manhattan, which is nothing. So on the easiest mode, they're going to score 16 points. Now, if we did the next level, we're going to score every if and per once. This is 4 once. This is 3. This is 3. This is 3. This is 3. And this is 4 once. Means in that case, they score 20 points instead of 16. I've still beaten them at that difficulty level. Now at the next difficulty level, they're going to score all of the pers twice. So this is 4 per, so that's twice is 8, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, and then this one is 4 twice, means 8 points again, which is a score of 28. Now, we're going to see that even in the highest scoring difficulty this time, I did very well because I gave them a lot of those single 3 stars because I told you the highest scoring level, the max score, is what they're scoring. Well, this 4 per reds in the bottom, the max score is only 2 of them, so that's 8 anyway. So even twice has already been 8. That's still 3, that's still 3, that's still 3, that's still 3. And this one again, the max value of the 2 spots there is 2 times 4 is 8, which I already did. So that's also going to be 28 in this case. So with a score of 38, and the way that I played this game, I did very well because I won at the highest difficulty level. Now, all of the things you see here on the table are my own print and play copy of the game. Nothing is the official printed copy of the game, so I can't really talk about the quality of the components or the wallet like I would normally do with a button shot game because I don't have one. I only printed this out from a print and play copy that I own. But taking a look at the way that it all looks on the table, I really love the sort of look of this because everything really does sort of get the vibe of a city. I love that there's Central Park here in the middle. Being somebody who lives in New York, very close to New York City, the layout of the city makes sense. The whole east and west side, uptown, downtown, midtown. These are all real areas in the city, and I'm guessing maybe not, because K-Town would not be uptown, but that's because I put it there, right? So we are sort of rearranging the city and making our own alternate version of New York City, but that's fun anyway. It looks cool. The colors are nice. I think they'd probably pop a little bit better in the official version and not in my version on regular printer paper with a cheap printer slid behind plastic sleeves, which kind of dulls everything down. But it looks great. The symbology is very clear, the different neighborhood types and the different map pins on the map. It looks like a map, but it also feels like the city. It's designed in a very interesting and nice way that sort of matches thematically. So as far as the design, the look, the components, I'm very pleased with the game. Meet me back up top and I'll let you know what I think about the game itself. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. Let me just start by saying I am so glad I decided to give this one a second chance and print out that print and play copy of the game, because I really enjoy the game that's going on here. Again, I did initially pass this up because there was no solo mode and I wasn't sure that I'd ever get it played 2-player. Now I have played the solo mode and I really do want to hopefully get it played 2-player because I really enjoy the way that this game works. This game is really cool because, well, first it's a card drafting game, placing cards in locations to score points based on the other cards in different locations and, you know, the proximity of things and the locations of things and so on. And there are a lot of games like this now, and I've done coverage of a lot of games, and heck, a lot of those games have come from Button Shy themselves, and I'm a fan of all of them. You know, Skulls of Sedlec is one of my most favorite Button Shy games, and that's another one like this, drafting cards to build a shape of cards that score based on other cards. Wonder Tales is another one that had a solo mode that came out later for it, and again, about placing cards in places that, you know, score off of the other cards that are out there on the table. And here's another one like that. So I'm not getting sick of it. And I don't want to say that this is just like all the other games, because this one is quite unique. Now, first things first, the theming is really cool. I do now live in Westchester, New York, just north of New York City, and I'm fairly familiar with the city and the landmarks in the city and sort of the layout of the city, and I love the theming that's been done in this game. But it's not the theming of the game that's pulling me in completely and making me love this game. It's the puzzle, it's the play, it's the mechanism of this game. The drafting is cool here. I'm playing against the AI. There is an AI that I'm scoring against. It's not just a get a high score mode like Skulls of Sedlec was. I am actually going for a win condition. And I am thinking about drafting here, not just about myself, but about what the AI is going to take, which is a very interesting puzzle for me, because that's a little bit unique sometimes. You know, in these kinds of small games, to be able to not only influence what I'm doing, but also influence what the AI is going to be doing after me. So the card that I take is going to sort of dictate which of the cards the AI takes based on what's left in the play area. And you saw me do that a couple times in my play, where I took a card that didn't necessarily help me. I was blocking the AI from hitting their goals first, and then taking the one that was best for me and placing it in a location that it was best for me. And that's the other thing that I really love about this game, right? Basically here, you're drafting cards that can be placed anywhere, and they're not only scoring based on where they're placed, you know, in connection with the goals that are out there. Like in Skulls of Sedlec, you place this card next to this card, it scores. But in this game, it's not just about place this card next to this card, it scores. Because depending on where that card is placed, it scores its own scoring differently. Because there are 3 different scoring possibilities or scoring conditions on the card that are triggered depending on where it's placed in the city. And then it's scoring based on the other cards that are placed in the city that match that pattern. So you're sort of got 2 competing patterns going on at the same time, and then add to that a 3rd pattern, because then you've got your Central Park row that gives you these 2 sort of end game goals. So you're looking at symbols long range. You're looking at slotting the card that you're playing into a specific thing to trigger a certain scoring condition, but then you're also thinking about slotting those cards into a position to score off of the other scoring conditions that you've already set up in your play area. And this sort of combination of these 3 levels of scoring really makes a whole lot of fun in this game. It's a very simple draft. It's a very simple scoring, but it's a very nice sort of deeper puzzle about how things slot in. And there's only 6 different spots. And as you go forward, this space gets smaller and smaller, so your decisions get a little bit smaller and smaller. So it's kind of a reverse from most games, right? In most games, as you get on, some of your decisions are getting a little bit more difficult. In this case, the decisions get a little bit easier as you move on, but you've got to sort of hope that you set yourself up early in the game for a sort of maximum scoring potential later in the game. And it almost becomes a sort of push your luck game depending on how you've set yourself up. If I have a bunch of cards that score off a specific thing, then I'm really hoping that towards the end of the game that specific thing is going to come out and score me big points, because if it doesn't, I might not score anything at all. So do I set myself up for a big win at the end, or do I sort of trickle in all the points as we play along through the game? And there's this really cool decision space or thinking space in this game, and I really enjoy it. I think this is one that's going to fly under the radar for a lot of people, so I wanted to make sure to get a video out there for this game because it's one that I really think that people should take a look at. If you like these head-to-head sort of puzzly, spatial kind of games, definitely check it out. If you like a solo game that plays against an AI that gives you that same sort of feeling, definitely check this one out. I do believe that this one might be out of print currently. You should be able to get the print and play copy if you really want to play it right now. And fingers crossed that if this one gets a little bit more attention, it does get a reprint and more of you are able to pick this up and get it played, because I had a whole lot of fun with this one and I wasn't expecting a whole lot because I didn't really hear much about this one going into it. So definitely, if you get a chance, try this game out, check it out, and if you think it's something you might be interested in, definitely look into it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, as always, remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon below, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.